Alright, so I'm going to give you guys a little tutorial today on how I mix rap vocals on GarageBand. A pretty great free studio that I use, and I'm just going to say the first thing about vocals is that 90% of getting a good vocal is just having a good mic. A really expensive $3,000, $4,000 mic is going to be the biggest thing going into making good vocals or having good vocals. And being in a space that's padded or pretty soundproofed is another big element. So those two things are huge. But when you're dealing with the other 10%, that's kind of where the mixing comes in, where you can kind of clean this up and get a really good vocal. And I'm using a Blue Yeti mic, which is a really good mic, but it's not quite top of the line. It's definitely a good mic. I would say like 7 out of 10, but if those real premium mics will give you 10 out of 10 vocal clarity. So let's just get into it. First thing I do is I'll get some compression going. So I just use the default compressor here, and you can turn it on with this little dial too. And all you're going to do with this one is very simple. I used to use a different compressor that was a little more advanced, but I actually weirdly found that this default compressor just works actually pretty good. So this little dial is going to just turn it up until you see usually around 3 little bubbles start glowing, and that just means that it's on those loud parts of the vocal. It's just cutting out those loud parts and making the vocal really consistent. Compression is just bringing up those quieter parts of the vocal and then bringing down the louder parts so it all sounds really consistent across. So yeah, I usually turn this dial up to usually till you'll see these 3 little dots glow. And that's pretty much it, and it sounds gives it a little more clarity. Next thing I do is EQ, very essential. So I just do the default EQ. I don't know why, but with my studio, I have to do like I have to have this one off and then do another one to be able to see the actual vocal underneath here, which is really important, I think, just to see it visually. First thing I do with EQ is I get this red one that just cuts out. I get it all the way tight here and then just usually cut it about to there. This will just cut out any background noise or humming noises that are in the back. And be careful with this one because the vocals are usually around this area, so you don't want to be cutting out any of the vocal. You just want to be doing a cut of the background noise. Then with EQ, I'm pretty minimal. I usually I've come to learn with hip hop that, at least in this studio, and I think with most mixing, is like kind of less is more. And so I don't do a lot with EQ because I kind of noticed that if you do a lot with EQ, it'll mess up your organic voice you have. With me, everybody's voice is a little different. With me, I usually will do right around 100. I'll do the kind of a low cut right here just to bring some clarity too, because my voice is kind of deep sometimes. Usually about that, not a lot. You can mess with it. Usually in this range, you'll kind of cut out some of those low frequencies. And then I don't really do a lot with the mids. Some people do the mids. I usually just, with mine, take this little pink one, bring it up, and usually like right about here, you don't want to go too crazy with it, but right around here, it just brings up a little bit of that clarity in the vocal. And that's really all I do. I've tried to do cuts and big up things crazy like this, but usually just stick right around here and that'll just enhance the vocal. So yeah, that's compression and EQ. Pretty simple, but very essential. And then you want to do this TDR Nova, which is a De-Esser. This is a really good plugin I got that's free. You can download, and this one is really great for just cutting out those really harsh S's and T's that come in the vocal. And so this one's a little more complicated, but it's pretty simple. So first thing you want to do is go in. That'll make sure that you see the actual vocal here. Then you want to make sure you click the fourth one, the fourth dot, go to the mountain one, go all the way to 6, go threshold, and go 0.1 and 50 just for the attack and release, so it's quicker. And then all you're going to do is just turn this knob down. Usually the S's and T's are right in this 10K. until you're actually, what's cool about this one is like when you're seeing it, it'll actually be doing this. You'll actually visually see that it'll be cutting out the T's and the S's. The next essential thing about using this is clicking this GR Delta one. That will make sure, I don't know why it's called that, but it'll make sure that will just let you hear the S's and the T's that it's cutting out. And you want to listen to this vocal without the beat. You just want to have the vocal going on in your headphones. And that will you'll actually hear you'll hear like a tss, 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 as it's doing it. So you can really kind of find those S's and T's and get rid of them. Then you can also do the third one, same thing. You can do the mountain, go to 6, threshold, 0.1, 50, and do a little bit of a cut in this lower range. Usually this is where I end up with my vocal, right around here. And this will just, with these two together, just cuts out most of those harsh sounds. So TDR Nova, really good for that. All right, so the last thing that you'd want to do with vocals is just add some reverb. So there's two ways that I get reverb on the vocal. First way is I will literally just turn up this reverb dial about to hear on the main vocal. Don't want to be too crazy with it, but usually just right around here. And then this other reverb here gives it another dynamic. And I usually just come right around here. And so I don't know why, but just these two together actually sounds like pretty good reverb on the vocal. If you want to do it the second way, which I utilize, just depends on the track. You got to kind of just trust yourself and kind of just realize that you trust your ears and decide what reverb is going to be the best. So with that, I'll turn these off if I'm going to go to the second route, and I will do Shift Option and duplicate this track. And you want to make sure this original track doesn't have any reverb on it. And then this is the track that you're actually going to have reverb on, that you're going to essentially blend in with the volumes. So we go down to, where are you at? I can never find it. Reverb, and we go to Platinum Reverb, and this is just some reverb that some girl showed me that works really well. So you can just take a picture of all these settings I'm going to do. 98, 98, 44, 12. And for some reason, with these settings like this, don't even understand it, but with these settings like this, actually sounds like some really good reverb that you can blend in. It's going to be a strong reverb, so that's why you want to have a duplicated track and you want to blend it into the original vocal track. And I'll usually blend it into about here until it just gives it the vocal that sort of space, and sort of, so it's not just like right up in your ear, it just gives the vocal some space. And between those four things, that's really all I do for mixing. Those are really kind of the four essential things that you're going to need to mix in the vocal. And like I said, just having a really good mic. But if you have a really good mic and you want to mix the vocals, and that's really all you need. I mean, those four things. So hopefully this was useful, and I'll see you in the next one.